When building an application, you're likely to write hundreds of lines of code. And this application will have several functionalities. Now, some of these functionalities might be repetitive, and you don't want to write repeatedly the same functions. So what you want to do is save specific functions into a file, and you can look at this file as a code library. This is exactly what you call a Python module. In today's video, we'll be looking at some Python modules that have been pre-existing or preloaded into the compiler, and also how to create a new module. Stick around. And here we have a Jupyter notebook where we've opened up another blank file we've called Python module. Now, if you want to use a module, of course, there are several modules that have been loaded into this existing compiler. Now, what you do is you import the module, okay? Now, let us look at one of the modules that exist, which we call the random module. So to work with the random module, what do? You simply import random. That's the way you do that. You import random. Now, there's also something we need to understand. When you import random and you run it, it means the random module actually has been initialized, okay? Now, the random module has several functions that have been loaded into that module, okay? If you want to see a complete list of all functions in all modules, you use the directory method, and then you can just insert the random module, and when you run that, you can get a view of all the methods that exist within that module. Similarly, we can do the same for the datetime module, and here you can see certain modules that exist within the datetime. Now, keep something in mind, okay? You can make reference to any of these functions that exist within this module, okay? For example, we can see there is time, system, date time, cap key, or time delta, you know. So let's just assume we want to just print out, let's say just sample one or two of these functions. Then you see you can tap from the functionality of the module. The first one I did here is date time, regular time. So I put in 10. So it converts this into hours, minutes, seconds, okay? And the second one here is date time, dates, and it actually has a syntax, as you can see. And it actually has a syntax. As you can see, the first argument, which is self, can be ignored. And then you have the backslash, args, quags, but looking at it from the docstring, you have the year, the month, and the day. Okay, so the year here is 2022, the month is 8. Now, if you put 0, it's going to give you an error. Okay, so all it means is just 8, then 17. Okay, now if you want to see more information about this, just use your shift and your tab key to give you more information about this, and you can expand to see what more exists within this. So you can see the complete syntax for each of these modules. You can do the same here and get a more detailed. So here is directory objects. So it just lets you know more about that particular module. Let us explore another module, which we'll call the math module. Now I'm going to go straight up to import this module, and I'll print out all the directories that exist within this module. And I've also done something here. I've printed the length of the directory. So as you can see, there are 63 items inside this list. All right. But looking at this, let me just hash this out and run it again. So I'm taking out the length. I just want to see the directories. So you can see some of the directories that exist within the math model. And of course, you can access some of these functions just by running simple statements. And let's run this and see what it gives to us. Now, let's look at all this one by one. This is the math model, by the way. As you can see, this is the math model. Okay. So now, the first one, the math.py. You don't need to fill in anything here. As you can see, you don't need to fill in anything. So there's nothing to fill in here. Okay. All right. So it just simply gives you Now, what I've done is I've printed the name of the function and I've printed the actual value, okay? So here you have pi here and you have the actual value of pi, which is 3.141 for those of you who did mathematics. Then you have a radians of 180 degrees, 180 cosine tangent, square root. So this is a square root, and this is the factorial of 8. Now, let us create our own custom function. Now, here I have opened up a Spider notebook. Now, if you've watched our previous tutorial where we talked about Python installation, you see that Spider was one of those. When you open up your Anaconda, you can just from your Anaconda profile, you can get your Spider. So when you open up your Spider, now here we want to create our own custom model, okay? So let us just keep it very, very simple. Now, what you're doing here is you want to create a file, and that file should have maybe a function running in the file, okay? So let's just take a basic function, we'll define the function, and let's call the function module, okay? You can call it anything, just module, and let's keep it simple. Let's say a comma b, okay? Now, what should this be? Let's say results. Results should be what? A plus b, okay? Then return results. All right, I think that's good enough. So now let's save this as what? Let's save it as a Py file, okay? Module.py.py, okay? As a Py file. So we've saved it as a Py file. So what we want to do here now is from another file, okay? Let us access the module that we've already created. Now remember, we call the module module.py. So what we are doing here now is we want to access that module that we've already created. So first thing is to import module. See, import module, okay? That module you're importing is this module that you already created. Now, we only wrote one function here, but you can write more than one function. But one of the functions in this module, as you can see, is modu, okay? So let's make a reference to that. After importing it, we can say module.modu, because that is the name of one of the functions, okay? Now, or let's go back here, let's do something. Addition, let's call it addition, okay? Let's see that, call it addition. So here, instead of saying module.module, we'll say module.addition, okay? Now you need to give this its own values, because here addition is a comma b. So it means when you come here, you need to feed it what the a is, and you have to feed what the b is, okay? So let a be 2, comma, let b be 7, okay? Now, what is this going to be? Let's print this value. Let's print, embed it into a print statement. And when you run that, what do you get here? You get the figure of 9. As you can see here, you get 9. So 9, because it's saying 2 plus 7. That is what you have here, a plus b, okay? And a plus b is results, and you are returning what that value of result is. So that is what this function is all about. Similarly, let us create another function here. Let's call it subtract, and let it also be a comma b. But in this case, let it be results equal to maybe a minus b, okay? Then let it return results. Let it return results. We can run, we can save it. And when we come here, the same way, similarly, we can make a reference to that particular model, which, what do we call it? We call it subtract. Let me just get that. Change addition to subtract. But here, let me make it 7, and let me make it here 2. Just the way, just a choice. You can do it the way you want. And let's run it. So when you run it, you see what you get here. The first value is 2 plus 7, which is the addition function. That is 2 plus 7, which is 9. And the next one here is 7 minus 2, which will give you 5. Of course, if you want to invert it 2 and make it 7, if you run it again, you should be getting 9 minus 5. Minus 5 because it's saying 2 minus 7. Okay, so that's for that. Now, similarly, you can choose to get out all the values inside that module, okay, by accessing using the directory method. And let us just print out what you have there. So if you run this, you see it gives you, now observe something. There are some of these that are built in, but as you can see, addition and subtract are the two functions which we have written in from the module.py script. Okay, so that's it for today's video. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe to this channel. If you're not already subscribed, hit the like button and make a comment here to let us know what you think. And don't forget that the script of this particular video is always in the GitHub link on the video description below. So until the next video, bye-bye.